Hi, I'm Dr. David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Henry Shi. Henry is a financial professional. As an international student, he obtained his BA in economics from Simon Fraser University in British Columbia, Canada, and an MBA in international management from Royal Holloway, University of London in England, UK. In our conversation today, we will discuss Henry's international student experience. It's a great pleasure to have you with me today, Henry.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Dobson.
You were born in China. You came to Canada as an international student. You did your high school and undergraduate education in Canada. Can you please share what it was like to leave your parents at a young age and how you navigated your way as a young student in Canada?
Leaving a family to a new environment and starting a new life was hard for a 17-year-old. I still remember the first night when I arrived in Langley. The street was so quiet because I found where the city I'm from is it's a bigger city, and so I cry as I look at myself in the mirror. Because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I didn't know when I was going to go home. But eventually, I make myself a little countdown board. I stick it on the back of my bedroom to celebrate my first time home after a full year away from my parents. I would say the main purpose for me to study abroad is to learn different culture and to expand my horizon. So at the beginning, school was challenging. When I looked at the test questions, I remember the physics class. I didn't even know what they were asking. I was so frustrated because I couldn't ask the teacher because I didn't speak that language, and I wasn't getting a good marks. So I was ashamed to share those with my parents. Um, in terms of how do I overcome this challenge, I think having a hobby or a team sport will help me make new friends. I play soccer on both the school and on the youth team. So at the beginning, other kids didn't pass the ball to me because I wasn't talking. So on the pitch, so the coach told me that, hey Henry, you gotta make yourself available and shout and demand for the ball. So that's how I learned to express myself. First, starting off on the pitch and later on translated to the classrooms. So one time, two times, third times, and eventually teammates passed me the ball and I scored. So I think when people working towards a common goal, that will help people to bond and to build the trust. So I think once I started to make friends, things became a lot more easier because I have someone to talk to, I have someone to play with, and I have someone to relate my experiences with.
English was your second language when you came to Canada as a young student. You had to learn English and live in an English speaking environment, but you shared with me that it was not easy. Can you share your experience?
Yeah, I would say actually, English is still my second language. You said was, but it is still. So when I was younger, I wanted to prove to other people how proficient I'm in with English because I thought it will help me to blend in with the kids easier. But many years later, I learned that language is just one tool in the communication process. So being proficient in one language does not mean you can communicate your idea more clearly and concisely. So reflecting back on my experience, I would say I took a lot of it took a lot of thick skin to learn a new language. So that means don't be afraid to make mistakes, or don't be afraid to make people laugh, because I found that really energetic. And I recall my first public speech experience in English was at a school board town hall. So international students were asked to share their homestay experience. I appraised my homestay mom for her delicious sandwiches that I had to have 3 full ones in a day. Um, but all aside, it does take a lot of practice. Just like if you just want to be a sponge, absorbing, but that's not enough. So you need to be like I would say like a elastic band. So keep bending, keep learning as much as you can. And the more you take on and store, the more kinetic energy that you can release at the end.
You were an international student and succeeded in your educational pursuits. What is your advice for international students who leave their home country to study abroad?
I've been an international student twice. One was in high school from China to Canada, and second was in London completing my MBA. Very different experiences. When I was younger, I wanted to prove the people around me how good I am, how well I can be proficient in language. But sometimes I completely so that means sometimes I will completely cut off my cultural ties and just let myself immerse in a new environment. But that wasn't working out. I found myself lost in between. So as I grow older, I started to appreciate diversity as well as inclusion. So I appreciate the fact that we all came from different backgrounds, and that's why we do things differently, and that's why it makes us so unique. So hence, when I did my MBA in London, where my classmates were from 15 countries and regions of the world, when I worked with them, although things were done differently, but I would try to see things through their lens. That would give me a different perspective. Just to share a quick example with you, the first task was a trip to plan a trip to central London and diarize the trip. So I focus on being efficient on time. So I plan every step very clearly, and I have to be at the particular stop very precisely at the particular time. But I might have missed out some of the fun locations, whereas my classmates focuses on the cultural aspects of the trip. So they will plan the stops at some local but yet unpopular tourist locations. It's very interesting. So our destinations were the same, but completely different experience. So I think if I will ask to provide one piece of advice to international students is to always have an open mind and challenge yourself. Keep that open mind open for as much as you can.
In your professional life in retail banking, you made great progress. You started as a retail customer service representative and worked your way to commercial banking. Now you're account manager. Can you share a little bit about your career success?
I mean, thank you for your compliment. Being in commercial banking had always been my career aspiration because I get to help businesses to thrive, which in turn, it will make our communities prosper. I started with RBC 10 years ago when I was a fresh grad from SFU. I was the teller that never left the bank eventually. So I always share with younger colleagues who just started at workforce or joining the bank. The piece of advice is it's okay that you don't know what you are going to do for your career at the beginning, but I would encourage you to keep trying different roles. So by trying, I did not mean to switch jobs or roles every so often. I mean, to do it with a commitment. Set yourself a timeline and do your best. Leave no regret. That's what I did. And second piece of advice is to have a mentor. So a mentor is very important when you work in a large organization like the bank. The mentor can be your sounding board, and giving you the advice to avoid a lot of mistakes. And most importantly, a mentor allows you to have a role model to look up to. Last but not least is always to be curious. So no matter how long you've been in a role, there's always new things to learn. Be open-minded to adapt to change and constantly asking the reason why. Once you know the why, you will be smart enough to know the how.
You regularly participate in cycling events to raise funds for charitable causes. Can you share why this is important to you?
Yes, I just finished my third year of Tour de Cure. It's hosted by BC Cancer Foundation, an annual cycling fundraising event. So for me, the most important reason is my family have been benefited from BC Cancer's care in the past 5 years. My father-in-law was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma back in late 2019. While he was recently graduated from BC Cancer, but what he has gone through was 2 rounds of chemos, 1 round of stem cell transplant, and countless sleepless nights. I still remember how he kept his smile, even though at the toughest time, his hair started to fall off, the numbness started to creep into to his fingers. He couldn't even stand on his toes. But the organization was with us at every stage. So started with the initial consultation, and then discussion on the treatment plan. We move on to actual implementation and the follow-ups. So I mean, most of all, BC Cancer gave us the hope, and make us believe that there is a way that we can conquer cancer, a way to resume some normalcy in life. So also, it has taught me not to take things for granted. So with the timely treatment, my father-in-law is now able to play and watch his granddaughter to grow up every day. That's my first reason. That's the most important. Secondly, it's because my employer, RBC, is once again a breakthrough sponsor for the event. So this partnership will truly reflect RBC's commitment to creating a positive change in our communities. And lastly, that's a little bit more personal, because I like to be active, and cycling had taught me a lot of things. For example, had taught me how to be resilient. It's like when you're climbing, you will fall if you stop. But I told myself I can be slow, I can take breaks, but I cannot give up. So I think this helps me to prepare when I face challenges both in life or at work.
You are a father of a young daughter. What are your hopes for her?
Most importantly, I hope her to have a healthy and happy life. I also hope her to stay grounded in her Asian roots. As my father used to tell me, we are like trees. We can have multiple branches as we grow up. It's like when we can speak a different language, we can experience different cultures, but we only have one root, and that root, that's what's giving us the nutrients and to build a stronger foundation and thrive. If you ask me, there's one thing that I want her to do, which I missed out. as a child, I think it's to develop a natural appreciation of arts and music, because growing up in a traditional Chinese family, I was forced to learn arts and music, which I did not enjoy that much. I would like rather to play soccer outside. But now I look back, I wish I never skipped those extracurricular violin lessons. I think that's what I wish her to do. And in fact, today is her first day at her daycare. So I just dropped her off. I'm feeling nervous, but I'm also happy for her because it's a new stage. And I'm glad that she's going to make a lot of new friends and be a better person every day.
Thank you for your time, Henry. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I have to say, you are one of the few most memorable classes in my entire 4 years at SFU. Not only because I got an A minus, that's one of the few A's, but more importantly, it's the way that you teach, and the one particular advice that you gave us. It's really important. That is, don't miss out for your after school tutorial. I think that's what it's called, the labs, that where it teaches you how to use Excel, how to use all those data analysis. Like, can you imagine 10 years ago, if I can time travel back, I would like to sit in and learn, try to extract everything I could from you.